All Apocalypses, a show where we explore the collapse of society by playing fun tabletop role-playing games.
That's your Stu impersonation?
It's terrible.
Okay. Here's my Stu impersonation that's better. Welcome to Oops, All Apocalypse, a show where we explore the collapse of society by playing fun tabletop role-playing games. I'm Stu Masterson.
I like that you left out the S because Stu always forgets that it's apocalypses.
Did I? Oh, I always forget. That was intentional. That was not intentional. I'm Stu Masterson, and I'm joined by 2 cans of Coke Zero.
We're both Coke Zero this week. That's weird.
Maybe a Diet Coke and a Coke Zero.
Ooh, which one do you want to be?
I'm joined by a Coke and a Diet Zero. I want to be Coke Zero. It tastes better.
Okay, so I'll be Diet Coke. Hey everybody, I'm Diet Coke, also known as Brady, and I play Book McCready, the super suspicious sleuth who is currently hanging Ocean up to dry.
And I'm Coke Zero. I play Ocean, a gentle giant who is currently being hung up to dry.
Okay, I'm back to being Stu now.
Things are going rough. Okay, you're Stu now. Things are going rough with Ocean right now. It's kind of a tough time. How do you feel about that, Stu?
It sure is a rough time for him. Absolutely. Excellent. And while I'm saying that,
Excellent.
Erver.
So
if you can't tell by now, Stu is not currently here doing the intro, but he is here for the episode.
Yeah, Stu literally was with us a few minutes ago and he said, oh shoot, I gotta go record the intro for me. So this is what you get, Stu, for bailing on the intro. You get this. Are you happy now? Are you appreciative of the art that's being left for you to edit?
This week, do we have a BuzzFeed Presents Apocalypse or a Book Snook of Book Takes to do?
So this week on BuzzFeed Presents Oops, All Apocalypse, I've had an idea brewing in my head for a great question that for quite a while now. And now since Stu's not here, we can skip the order and I can ask it anyway.
What do you mean? I'm here.
Oh, that's true. I'm also here.
I'm Stoob.
I'm Stoog? I'm Stoog?
It's a J.
Are you Stoob and I'm Stoog? Stooge? Stooge. Okay.
Yeah, Stu J and Stu B.
If you guys remember correctly, when we first started, we had questions to fall in love. Well, I was just browsing the internet one day and I found this stupid BuzzFeed list. That was a list of things that you should know about your partner.
Oh, God.
And I looked at it and I was like, this is wonderful. So there's 4 questions that I want to know the answers to, or what you think the answers are for the other person. So I'm going to be answering for Book, and you'll be answering for Ocean.
Okay.
Because these are things you should know about your partner.
And then Stu J will be answering for Jacob?
Or we're going to answer for Stu.
Oh, I see, since Stu isn't here.
Yeah, we'll answer for Stu. We'll alternate and decide what we think these answers would be for Stu.
I'm still going to impersonate Stu when I do it, so it might be a little confusing.
That's
Keep
fine.
up, people. Try to keep up.
So, here's the things you should know about your partner. Question 1. What is one thing you could say that would make them start arguing with you?
Okay, for Book answering for Ocean, immediate argument like 2 weeks ago was, I think the spider should have 4 wheels.
That will always make Ocean mad. Bring up Spider 4 wheels, and I'm sure that'll start a conversation for sure. He's only begrudgingly accepted that the 4 wheels was better at this point.
I think now immediate argument would be like, I don't trust Kara. or we should sacrifice fake Suvius.
Yep, that was what I was about to say. Things that would start an immediate argument right now with what I think Book would argue about would be easily triggered by is 1, arguing about what books he should keep if they're going through his library and tossing books. I think he'd get very defensive over basically any book in that. And also, Ocean being like, we should keep fake Suvius around with us at all times.
Or if you're like, can I use that book as toilet paper?
Yeah.
Or Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, the treatment of books, I think, would start it, because I think Ocean probably thinks books are, they're just things. He can't read them. It's just paper. But book has sentimental value associated with them.
Yeah, he does. So do I. Should I answer for Stu now? What would start an argument between me and him?
Yeah, you can answer for Stu.
Okay, so I'm Stu J, answering for Brady, answering for Stu. Something that would set off an immediate argument between Brady and Stu is if Brady were to say that every D&D party needs a Gandalf, and that is to say a character, an NPC that is run by the DM who pops in and out to redirect the party when they start going off on tangents and lose track of the actual goal.
Is that something you guys argued about?
100%. I genuinely think that Gandalf is like the perfect NPC. So halfway through the campaign, the DM's like, I don't need Gandalf anymore. They're all doing exactly what I wanted them to do. And to add some emotional stakes, I'm going to kill off my NPC Gandalf. And then everything immediately goes to shit. And the DM's like, fuck, I got to bring Gandalf back. How do I?
So what you're telling me is you're pro DMPC and Stu is against DMPC.
Yes, precisely. I'm very pro Gandalf character. I would love if we had a Gandalf in this game. They would just pop in and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Tell us what to do. Yeah, yes. Tell us exactly what we need to be doing.
Peregrine Took, you fool. You know, that kind of thing.
So what would start an argument between Jacob and Stu?
Oh, that's perfect.
Would be, you know, I don't think I've ever had an argument with Stu. So.
Dude, I know this. Just anything about music. You just got to say some about music that's controversial, and you and he could go at it forever.
Oh, I know something that will rile his gears up. In the band AJJ, this is a very unpopular opinion, but the song People to the Reckoning is nearly unlistenable for me because of that stupid my parasympathetic nervous system reacts line. Unlistenable for me. I cannot listen to that song. I hate it. I think I did have a discussion with Stu about this actually before. So I cannot listen to that song. Any of their other songs? Sure, but that one triggers something serious in me.
That's really fun.
And I bet we'd have quite the discussion about that. Okay, so question 2. If you were to start a business, what would it be?
And now Book is just answering for Book, right?
Book is opening for Ocean.
Oh. Ocean kind of has started a business.
Yeah, these are things you should know about your partner. Gotcha. So a Book should know what type of business Ocean would open.
Okay. If Ocean wanted to move away from Junkin, I think he would want to start like a drilling business or like a mining, like basically the Boring Company.
Oh, yeah, I can see that for sure. And Ocean believes that if Book were to start a business that's not his current cult, it'd probably be a law firm. Man, so pedantic.
Ooh.
I can see him being a perfect lawyer.
Book is kind of a prick like that.
Every fine detail.
That's funny. Yeah, I like that.
All right, Stu, answer for Brady, answering for Stu.
Okay, so I think that Brady would think that if Stu were to start a company, it would be like a combination between production, like a production company, and an engineering consulting firm, and a political activists group.
That's a lot of things. That's a lot of companies. That's a big.
And he would call it Stutopia.
Stutopia. Man, I feel like you stole all the possible answers that I could come up with for that. So let me brainstorm something better.
Yeah, I guess I did. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I got something. As Stooge, answering for Jacob, answering for Stu, Jacob probably thinks Stu would start an RPG company, like an RPG publisher. Collect all kinds of interesting RPGs and games and publish them or write them themselves. Specifically, I bet a one-shot, a writer that would write a bunch of one-shots and maybe publish in one big book.
I bet Stu would be good at that.
One-shot RPGs. I bet he'd be amazing at it. And then my favorite question, and I was not thinking of this question for answering for Stu, so I apologize, Stu, ahead of time. This was not how I thought this was going to go. I thought this was just going to be answering for Book and Ocean. But what celebrity do they find the most attractive?
Ooh.
I just thought that was a very funny question.
Oh, okay. I think that Ocean is most attracted to Hilary Swank in the movie The Core.
Hilary Swank in The Core. Let's take a look.
I was going to say Brendan Fraser in Journey to the Center of the Earth, but I think
both of those are very good choices, actually. I would never would have thought about that, but all right. Apparently Ocean's a Hilary Swank guy.
I was just thinking of movies where people Burrow.
I mean, those are probably the only movies he's watched. So I think Ocean thinks Book is probably a Jenna Ortega guy.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. I want to hear your reasoning behind this.
I just see him being very into the quiet, mean, goth kind of vibe.
Okay.
Acting smarter than other people.
Yeah.
Like the specifically Wednesday kind of vibe.
Yeah. No.
I just can see that being Book's type.
That yeah, and somebody who is mysterious, I think, would be very intriguing.
Exactly.
Very
Always
intriguing.
a mystery to unwrap.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Now we have the fun part where Stooge and Stoob have to answer for Jacob and Brady answering for Stu. I would have picked a different question if I knew this was how it's going to go, but alas.
See, the problem is the only right answer is something super esoteric.
That's yeah.
And I don't know enough celebrities to do that.
Neither do I. I don't know why I picked this question.
Okay. This is almost certainly 100% not it.
I think a funny answer is probably better. It's perfectly good.
Okay, so I think that Brady would think Stu would think that Machine Gun Kelly is the most attractive celebrity. Boop, boop, boop. I'm Stu. I say boop. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, I want to know the logic for that.
I don't know. He just looks weird. He's covered in tattoos.
Oh, okay.
He's alternative.
I think Stu's type, Stooge answering for Jacob answering for Stu, would say that the celebrity Stu would find most attractive is Danny DeVito because he's got a really funny voice, and I think Stu would love making that voice
Oh, man.
and mimicking him.
I think Stu would also find Danny DeVito very attractive.
It's hard not to. I mean, look at the guy.
I know. I find Danny DeVito
Prime male
attractive.
specimen. All right.
Well, this has been weird.
This has been an intro of all time.
Are you ready to get back to the action?
I'm so sorry. You gotta say it like how Stu says it.
And now, let's get back to the action. So last episode, we left off with Ocean dangling off the edge over the Moonwell and Book confronting him about the disappearance of his parents, of which Book now has irrefutable evidence that Ocean was involved in. And without Book having to say a word, Ocean looked up at Book and said, "You know, don't you?" And that's where we're beginning our action this week. Book hears those words, "You know, don't you?" And he looked angry already, and now he just looks so sad. And he looks down because he's still standing over Ocean, and Ocean is still dangling below him with his sword resting lightly against the rope. Book looks crestfallen, and he says, "To be honest, I've suspected for a long time, but never in a million years did I think that you knew until this moment. You were the one person down here who I thought I could trust implicitly. You were always honest with me, at least I thought. And now I don't even know if you really lost any of your memories. Was that all just some long, crazy way to manipulate me for years now? To help you find my mom and make your master happy? Or that doesn't matter. All I need to know now is how long you've known."
So Ocean he sits in silence and doesn't meet Book's eye at all. He's just kind of looking down in the Moonwell. And after a few moments, he says, "I don't know how long I've known, but I've known there's been something wrong with me. You saw since that time I attacked that guy with one of Hickory's men, something I couldn't control, something tied back to the way I was. I did hurt your dad, Book, I know that much, and I took him back to the tower. And I don't know how much the tower has control over me. I promise you I didn't. I did really lose my memories, and I really don't remember much, but the more I remember stuff, the more I'm kind of realizing that, you're the one person I value the most in this world, and I don't think you're safe with me anymore." And he lets go.
Holy shit.
No.
As you let go of the rope, you feel this just moment of weightlessness. Right as all your muscles relax, you start leaning backward and you feel yourself starting to fall. You're just at this one moment of just perfect weightlessness. And that's when I'm going to trigger a vision. I'm going to use 2 of my holds. I don't think this quite counts as a moment of transition unless it's a transition between you being alive and you being squid food. But give me those 2 options, a person and a place.
Okay, I just think this one sounds kind of an interesting combo. So I'm going to go with a place where the stars are visible in black sky with impossible clarity, and a person you loved in whom your faith was misplaced.
Hell yeah. This is going to be another one of those 0 moments of thought. Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
In this moment of weightlessness, as your vision fades, you feel just this moment of like self-preservation, like something grabs onto you and you feel your fist tighten as your eyes slam shut, but you don't feel that expected falling feeling, just still like you're floating there. As your eyes open, you realize you are just floating in blackness, holding onto a rope just as tight as you were, dangling above the moonwell. And as you look around you, there is just blackness with these tiny little pinpricks of flickering light in every direction. And there's just silence. And you feel almost claustrophobic, even though you're in this huge open area and you realize you don't have like a full range of movement and you're trying to look around and see what these little pinpricks of light could be. And then there's a bright light that starts illuminating. You realize it's almost right in front of you. And this rope you're holding on is like a tightly bound cable that extends out towards this light. And you see a darkened silhouette just staring at you from the edge. And they seem to go reach over and push a button, and this huge door closes down, removing that light from you, leaving you alone in this flickering darkness. Then, as that vision falls away and your eyes focus, you're now holding a chain, big metal chain, that you immediately realize is the same sort of chain you would use to do all of your fun scaling and rappelling back when you were a silent. And you're also in the moonwell, very close to where you were before your vision started. And you are cresting the top of, not where you're at now, the actual real top of the moonwell. And as you pull yourself up, you reach behind you, and with a strong jerk of the chain, you pull the person behind you up, and it is Charles Davis McCready.
Ooh.
He seems like he's very tired. He like sprawled out on the ground when you pulled him up. He seemed like he may have not been ready for that last jerk. You're very strong and you're used to dealing with other very strong people. And he kind of stays collapsed on the ground, breathing heavily.
As I pull the rope, Ocean pulls the rope up, and when he sees Charles on the other end, he stumbles back a little bit and kind of goes, Book? Wait, what's going on?
And he goes, shh. Quiet there. Yes, I don't say it while your friends are around, but yes, I need you to find Book. I don't know when you're going to have an opportunity to get away.
I was just with him, I think. Where are we right now?
We just got out of the moonwell.
Okay.
We're headed to your illustrious tower that I've heard nothing about.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. I felt like I was somewhere else for a minute there. Okay.
That's called Vertigo.
Yeah, I guess. Here.
Good movie.
Let me help you. And he reaches down and pulls him up.
He kind of pats you on the back. Give me a read a sit roll.
5.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, still ask me one question.
Okay. Let's. We can talk about the new moves real quick.
Oh yeah, real quick. We're using a slightly updated, just so people don't get confused. We're using a slightly updated version of the basic moves for Apocalypse World Burned Over. New moves, so the questions may sound a little different. The way things like helping someone are going to interact, and a little bit about battle, but it's still going to be pretty easy to follow from things you've heard before.
So I'm going to go with, I like the extra question they add at the end of the read a situation questions. So I'm going to go with, who or what represents the biggest threat to me? How can I tell?
As you pull him up, he kind of pats you on the back. And you can tell that he is, even though he's trying to kind of seem friendly with you, he is still trying to look for ways to escape. Like he immediately is looking at the horizon, looking at the tunnels, seeing if he can see how you guys got here, or what vehicles are around. One of your silent friends also notices this. He had come up right behind him, and he gives him like a sharp elbow right in the back.
When he kind of stumbles forward, Ocean grabs him by the arm to kind of steady him a little bit after he gets shoved, and then kind of motions with his head to keep walking forward. And as they walk forward, Ocean whispers back, is like, Don't look around you. You're making them suspicious. Don't do anything stupid, please. I beg you.
Give me a sway someone.
That is a 7.
I won't cause any trouble, but I'm going to keep harassing you about getting to my son.
I told you I'll do what I can. We gotta get back to the tower, though. I gotta talk about what's happened. We gotta give reports, and I don't even know where this place you're talking about is.
It's called Hamlet Opening. I don't know how to give direction.
I'm sure we can find out. We're probably already aware of the settlement, so.
And this tower, is this in Subtropolis?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I'm surprised you haven't noticed us, to be honest.
No, don't know anything about your little cadre of do-gooders here trying to share the power. Is that why you guys went and took those power cores down there?
I just do what I'm told.
Heard that before.
We've got somebody in charge that oversees everything, and they know what's going on, so I trust their judgment. But this isn't the first time we've done this.
As you push him forward, you see that the other yellow Humvees have kind of circled around the one you and Kara rode in on. So yours is still there, ready to go. What do you got anything special on your old, back when you were silent, yellow Humvee? Because they all have like different cool tech on them. Like they got crazy machine guns or rocket launchers and powerful lights. You saw those ones one time that had the crazy multi-spectrum like sensors that tracked you down with IR.
Considering Ocean's specialties, I think the back of his Humvee, instead of having like back seats and stuff, it lowers down and it's like a kind of a mobile ambulance sort of thing. It's got a treatment area inside with some pretty decent medical equipment to do proper medical care on somebody on the go.
Oh, that's cool. I like it. Are you loading in there with Kara, or are you going to put him in the front seat, or are you going to let some of the other silent take him? You have some authority here, you feel like you could kind of make this decision without pushback from the other ones. They have a finders keepers rule where if you wanted to throw him off on someone else, you could, but if you want to bring him back and get all the glory, it's up to you.
Ocean feels guilty about the fact that he just shot a man in front of his kid and separated a family, and he's worried that the rest of the silent will treat him a little harsher because of the fact that he was, in a direct opposition to what they were doing. So Ocean will load him into his car with Kara.
Yeah, Kara goes, "Hey, do you want me in the back seat?
Oh,
Help keep an eye on him."
Yeah. If you want to hold point on this one.
Yeah. So she goes and she kind of lowers the stretcher down a little bit back there and just kind of hunkers down in the floor. She still has her gun out resting on top of it, but seems relaxed now. And Charles gets in the front seat. He puts on his seatbelt and you start it up and start heading back. Okay, we're going to do an old custom move here called Traverse the Winding Tunnels of the Long Dark.
I hate this move.
On this, you roll a plus hard, and on a 10 plus, you get to choose 2, and on a 7 plus, you get to choose 1.
Okay.
And your options are, as you're rolling, you find something you didn't expect, you find something you did expect, or you avoid something blocking your path.
That's a 10.
So choose 2.
We avoid something blocking our path, and we find something we didn't expect.
Good choices. Definitely more interesting choices.
I'm getting this moved with the Plunder Subtropolis move. That's the one I hate.
That one's worse.
That's the one I hate. This one I don't mind.
This one's a little nicer.
This one's a perfectly fine move. This is a well-balanced move.
Subtly roasting my other move creation, but okay, I appreciate it.
Even on a full success, you're still losing something.
See, the secret is this one you also can't, but it just makes you think.
It just makes me feel better. It's not as mean the way it's worded.
Which is more important. You take point. Driving back, your car was the only one already facing the right direction. It looks like all the other silent arrive here in quite a hurry. It seemed like there was some sort of distress signal that they were reacting to try to get down and evac you as fast as possible. So they all haphazardly skidded up near the edge and jumped right down. You had parked nice and cleanly for a quick escape if you had to. So you get in and you take point. I'll nail down the number of extra silent there. There's probably 2 other Humvees that are fully loaded with them.
Okay, so a total of 8.
8 total. They got big stuff. They don't cramp in all the way. And they're both following you. Give me a read a sit roll as you make these winding turns down the long dark. You know right where you're going. You've navigated this area for a while now, so you're going pretty quick. Spinning down, taking some shortcuts only you know about, but it is still dangerous.
That is a 12. God, I'm telling you, past Ocean is better at everything than current Ocean is.
You do always roll good here.
I do.
Okay, as you go winding through these tunnels, your bright H2 Hummer aftermarket headlights shining the way in front of you. You see with plenty of time to stop, just on an outcropping in front of you, there's this flash of white. And as you slow down, the cars behind you stop as well. And you lock eyes with two things. One of them looks a lot like a deer, but it's solid white and it has these red beady eyes. And the only thing a little abnormal about it, not that you really probably know what a deer is, but at the bottom of its feet, instead of ending in cute little nice hooves, it kind of splinters out into like more of a tripod shape. And it looks like it's just like the shin bone kind of extended out in two different directions on all of their little feet. So it's almost standing on like 12 little curved little sleds.
It's unsettling.
And on top of it, you see a man who is deathly pale and also has these red beady eyes. And they're both just kind of looking in your direction. He's riding atop this albino stag. And at the exact same moment, both of them just kind of cock their head towards you and just keep staring.
Are the rest of the silent nearby this?
They are behind you.
They are behind you?
They've stopped behind you in their cars. They haven't like got out or anything.
Okay.
And he's still like, your headlights are shining on him about probably 30 yards in front of you.
Ocean, I was about to say thumps Kara on the thumps Kara in the seat. I was like, wait, Kara's not there. Ocean turns back and says, Kara, what the hell is that?
She's like hunkered down in the back seat and she leans forward and looks and she goes, I've never seen anything like that. And you think you see with your super good research roll, which ask me your questions actually.
Who's in control here? How can I tell? Who or what poses the biggest threat to me? How can I tell? And what should I be on the lookout for? And what makes me think so? I always forget we have +1 forward.
Yes, and you have +1 forward acting on any of these. You notice that when she leans forward and talks, even though you're like 30 feet away, your eyes are just locked on this stag person combination. As she talks, their eyes shift like a minuscule amount to where Kara is. Like they've somehow picked up that she is talking this far away inside your car.
Okay, that's weird.
So they have pretty good understanding of what's going on. That's kind of the who's in control here. What you should be on the lookout for is that I'm going to kind of roll your last two together.
That's fine.
This man, based on his clothing and the size of his pack he has with him, he has a very small satchel at his hip. You think this would have to be, if you had to guess from your military training, this would be more of like a scout. And there's probably more like him around. One person couldn't be surviving with what he has with him. Certainly also feeding a deer. And he doesn't have any weapons on him.
I was just about to ask if he was armed.
Not from you can see, at least. And he's wearing very light clothes. There's not a lot of places he could be hiding something. So you think he's probably a scout and there could very likely be more of them around.
Ocean activates the walkie-talkie in his car to communicate with the rest of the vehicles. We've got something to our right, to our left, up forward here. Looks like a man on a deer. Keep an eye out. I don't think he's alone.
What's a deer?
Oh, that's shit. That's true. I don't know. It's just some weird looking creature. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just a weird looking creature, but it's up here to the left. And I don't think he's alone.
What do you want us to do? Want to take him out?
No, I'm going to get out. Just kind of keep trained on me.
Okay. If you think so. Or
Ocean turns to Karen's like, Karen, cover me.
Yeah, I got you. And she starts crawling into the front seat.
And he pops out of the car, kind of ducks behind the door. I couldn't figure out the name of the thing that opens in the car. I kind of hunkers behind the door and then peeks over and says, state your name and your business.
When you yell that out, the deer and the man both like recoil a little bit. And the deer takes a few very careful dressage-like steps back away from you. But their eyes still are just locked directly on you. And neither of them say anything.
Oh, shit. I've got multiple armed men behind me here ready to attack on a moment's notice. State your name and your business.
The deer lifts up one of its leg and clonks 3 times on the ground. And it's louder than you would expect. It's not like some like deafening roar, but you swear you almost feel reverberations even where you're at. It just goes clunk, 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 and it breathes out quickly and then takes a few more steps back. And it's now just like at the edge of your headlights, but you still see this reflection of these red eyes from both of them staring at you.
Oh, God. I know what I want to do. I just don't know if I have the strength to do it. I have the strength to do it. What I really want to do is open my mind to the psychic maelstrom.
Ooh.
And I think that is what I'm going to do. Yes. At that point, when he sees them kind of pulling back, and he goes back, and when he sees the man and the deer ducking behind out of sight after hearing the reverberations and his assumptions that those things were probably not alone, Ocean opens his mind to see what kind of wacky shit is about to unfold on him.
Insert wacky music. Give me that weird roll.
Oh, that's another 12. Wait, do I have +2? I do have +2 weird. That's another full success. Full success.
You feel that static roll over your mind. Man, we're like 3 layers deep here. This is some Inception shit. You feel that static roll over your mind, and you hear almost a replaying of those 3 clunks, and your brain shoots forward through that reverberating out through these caverns, and you feel it reach another deer, who then also gives 3 clunks that emanate out, and you're almost following this like pinging, like a computer pinging to different IP addresses, and it does a few hops, and then you find yourself at the edge of Subtropolis, and your brain at a blistering pace just shoots through Subtropolis until it reaches this huge hole right in the center of just a massive series of skyscrapers and buildings. Looks like for some reason it almost belongs there, like the road is built around it and things like that, but this hole just has, you can't see any bottom, and your brain shoots down into it, and you can't see anything, but you feel it just moving and going deeper and deeper, almost like you are falling in darkness, a little bit like how you were feeling weightless before. And then you see just dozens and dozens of these red eyes just slowly start glowing, and then you snap back to it.
Oh shit. Have I ever seen this hole before or heard of it or anything?
No. You have not. Maybe someone else at the tower has.
Okay.
Can ask around. When you snap back to it, the deer and the man are just gone. You see nothing.
Ocean radios back, picks the radio up on his side, radios in, targets disappeared. There's definitely more of them further up ahead. We need to change our route, and then returns back to the car.
Keep moving, everyone, keep moving. Over.
And at this point, Ocean is going to try and Ocean changes the way he's navigating to try and avoid the paths where he kind of traced the deer back towards to try and kind of sneak away from that.
Yeah, I think with you getting the full success on the roll earlier and the full success on the Maelstrom roll, I think you can do that without another roll. Yeah. You're able to, the paths around here enough that you take this weird side path that is barely big enough for an H2, but you got those good off-road capabilities, and it is a longer path. It's a much slower path than some of these huge wide tunnels that you can just zoom through at top speed, but you crank your way through there, going over all these crags, and you end up looping back to the main central tunnel of the Long Dark eventually. And your path back to the tower is pretty clear, and we will jump forward to you getting back.
Okay.
You come to back at the tower, and you were tasked with returning these power cores directly to the AI, your leader at the tower. You know that in the case where you find something extra like that, you have a little bit of, extra like that being an entire person in this case.
Individual.
Yeah, when you find something that's interesting, there is a holding area you can bring it to, or it wouldn't be out of the realm of possible, or it wouldn't be crazy for you to bring it directly to her. Do you want to have Charles with you, or do you want to have him in some sort of holding area? Both would be acceptable.
Ocean will have him go to the holding area, so that way he can get thoroughly inspected and make sure he's not a threat to the tower, searched and all that jazz.
He'll get searched and scanned and get his stuff taken. Yeah.
And so he can also have a more one-on-one conversation with the overseer, or what are we calling the person that's in charge?
That's fine. Overseer's good.
Oh, the overseer. Okay.
I'll come up with an acronym for it.
Before he does that, he looks to Chuck and says, all right, they're going to kind of examine you. I promise no harm will come to you. I'll come find you later. Just comply. We're not a threat to you at this point.
Okay. I'll do my best. Hope to see you soon.
All right.
And you go to that central elevator and you push the button you need to push to get up to the overseer, and you make that fun elevator trek upward. And as the door opens, you are in a dark room with an illuminated pathway that leads up to this vaguely feminine figure projected in holographic form. Welcome back, Ocean.
Here to report back on the mission that you sent us on. I've got the 2 cores. And then he holds them out to her.
Excellent job.
We found somebody else down there, though. They were also going after the cores for some reason.
What did you learn about this person?
They said they were trying to go to the surface.
Why would they want to go to the surface?
I don't know. Did he tell me why, actually?
No,
Okay, I didn't think so.
If it was just some bullshit
Okay.
about it being safer. I think you asked the same question.
Yeah.
You're like, why are you trying to get there?
I don't know. He didn't really fully explain himself, but I just found it. I don't know how they got down there. It seems like a pretty difficult path to traverse. And I didn't think anyone else knew about these cores that we've been using. He didn't look like he was a soldier.
That is very, very interesting. Could you please provide the course to me now?
Yeah, here you go. And he plays. I assume there's like some kind of podium that lifts up. Then
There's a bunch of hydraulic sounds, and then you place them on this podium that lifts up. And then she walks over to it and actually picks one up and looks at it.
Oh. I say that surprised, but I bet Ocean doesn't even react because this is how she has been. But I didn't know she has a physical form.
This looks to be in perfect condition. Thank you, Ocean.
It's no problem at all. Just following orders.
I am a little concerned about this individual. Could you please try to get more information on him? Figure out who he is and why he would try to steal these things that belong to me.
Yes, I can do that. I was planning on more thoroughly talking to him about what his purposes were. So anyway, so if I discover anything, I'll report back to you.
You see the core she's holding starts floating up in the air a little bit above her, and all of these little lights start shining on it like a big schematic. And she seems to be kind of engrossed with that, looking into it. And she kind of half-heartedly says to you,
Thank you again, Ocean. We will talk soon.
Oh, I do have one more thing to report.
Yes, Ocean?
There was these figures that were watching us. There's a pale man riding a pale creature. I think it was a deer.
Do they look like one of these?
and she steps back and holds her hand up, and at an inhuman pace, thousands of pictures flash through of different deer and people, and it's completely incomprehensible.
But yeah. No, yeah, like those, like that. And he points at a deer the moment it crosses the screen, and he's trying to trace it.
Interesting. I've not heard of any deer down here.
It looked a little different than that picture, though. It seemed to have some stranger legs, to say the least.
Did it look like one of these?
That one picture that you selected then blows out into like 8 edited copies of it that all have wildly different legs. Like one has like wheels, one has like human feet coming off of the bottom of it. One of them's walking around on 4 tentacles. One of them has smaller deer heads under the bottom of each of their shoulders. None of them look like what you have, though.
No, it almost had tripod for feet. Is the best way I think I can describe it.
They all flicker a little bit, and this time one of them now looks very similar to what yours looked like.
Yeah, that's pretty close. And the man he was riding, he looked like a human, but he was just pale, and hair was really thin and wiry and white. But otherwise, the only other thing that was abnormal about both of them is they had red eyes.
Did he look like this?
And a picture of Nosferatu pops up.
Yeah, it's kind of similar.
It changes, and it then looks like Nosferatu crossed with Malfoy's dad from the movies.
Yeah, that looks about right.
Interesting. I'll add this to my record. If I have any other questions related to this, I will summon you up here. But thank you for your thorough record keeping and accurate retrieval of the items I requested.
I do my best.
Love you, bye.
As you go out the door opens up, and you're familiar with this process, but as you exit, there's a little pneumatic tube that pops up to the top, and inside of it is 2,000 tower bucks.
Oh, sweet.
They can use at any of the stores within the tower here,
Oh, hell yeah.
which is a lot of money. That's a good bit. Like, that's a very successful
I would
job
say.
amount of money. Probably one of your bigger
Hell
ones.
yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm not going to do the math for the actual conversion rate. 2,000.
2,000 is a big number.
Because this is never going to be used.
2,000 is a big number. I take it. It's about to make a stupid. I don't play Fortnite, so I don't know any dick all about Fortnite, but I know that they have.
You were trying to make a V-Bucks joke.
I know
with
they have
how
the tower.
not
I know
many-
there's V-Bucks, but then I was like, wait, I don't know how to connect this.
See, the thing is, Fortnite changes so much that any of my knowledge from back when I actually played is probably gone.
It's probably true.
But yeah, Tilted Tower used to be a thing.
Yeah.
May still be.
Who knows? Okay, well, Ocean takes the money and he heads down to Kara.
Do you want her to be in the cafeteria or closer to Charles?
I feel like the cafeteria is a more natural place to bet. I bet it probably takes a little bit for the full process of what they're doing at Charles takes. So
you go down to the cafeteria, which is where you are wont to find Kara most frequently. And you find her. She's sitting there watching TV and has a plate that is literally just full of grated cheese.
Kara, we got to talk about your eating habits. This can't be good for you.
Nothing else tastes as good.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I mean,
I had a lettuce.
a lettuce?
Yeah, I had a lettuce.
A lettuce?
Yes, a whole lettuce.
Like a head of lettuce.
No.
Just a leaf of lettuce.
Yes.
Kara, your heart can't take this.
I have the strongest heart.
As a medical professional, I'm telling you right now, we got to do something about your eating habits or you're going to be jeopardizing future missions because you're going to keel over from a stroke mid-combat.
I think the magic is going to help us.
Ocean's kind of like, oh, wait, whatever. What?
I'll eat some cottage cheese.
At least a little bit. Just a spoonful of cottage cheese and hopefully it'll balance things out. And maybe a boiled egg. Maybe one or two of those.
Ugh. Okay. I need the protein. How'd it go with the big woman upstairs?
About as you expect. The usual. Not a whole bunch of input. Just thanked me for what I did and sent me on my way. What's your take on how the mission went?
Yeah, it was definitely weird. Like, usually when we run into other people, they're pretty trained. You know, we always run into those mercenaries that, like, I don't know if they're all working together or something like that, but they always have kind of similar equipment. At least they're fighters. Like, you can tell, right? Like,
Yeah.
they know what they're doing. But those chuckle fucks down there, it looks like somehow they stumbled into something incredibly valuable. I really want to figure out what he was doing down there and, like, how they knew about this. Like, everything we go get, it seems like it's been completely forgotten by everyone else. And only the tower knows about it. And these people somehow knew about it too. Definitely weird.
I want to know how he got down there in the first place. He had his wife and kid with him. That was a baby. That was not a... She was like, what, 4 or 5, he said?
We determined you're bad at ages, so you can say whatever you want. But I think it's a little older.
Probably like 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, no, she wasn't. But yeah, that's definitely impressive. I don't know how they would have done that. They would need so many resources, like so many tower bucks to be able to afford that.
They also were talking about the surface. What do you know of the surface?
I don't know. People say that, like, we used to, or there used to also be these crazy cities way above us where there wasn't like cavern above you. I don't know what that means was above you because that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's always something above you, but they say there was like nothing above you. And it's like, look at that video. That's supposed to be from the surface. And she points to a TV screen and it's a news report on the 3rd Furby craze where everyone's buying Furbies and it's taken in Times Square. And there are literally thousands of children holding up Furbies running around wildly in circles.
Where the hell do these videos even come from? Good Lord. What is this?
Yeah, I don't know if they're from the past or if they're just all fake. Definitely confuses me, but some of them are pretty good. Have you seen Adventure Time? I like the cartoon ones a lot.
I don't suspect Ocean's watched a lot of things, to be honest. I bet Ocean's pulls
Not a
out
big
like a
TV
list and is
guy.
like, he pulls out a list and is like, okay, Adventure Time. Yeah, when I get time, I'll check that one out. It's a long list. He hasn't watched anything that she's recommended him.
One of them is like news. It's like Weather Channel. One just says sports.
The First World War is on there. It's like, yeah, it's just hard to have time to look at all this stuff. But I think I'm going to talk to Charles, see if I can figure out more about what's going on with him.
Do you want me with you?
Oh, you can if you want, but he might be more comfortable with just me.
Yeah, I'll just finish my cheese.
He mentioned a place called Hamlet Opening and that he has a son there. Is that someplace we've been?
I have not. We could try to go look it up. We could either use the Google machine or the local mainframe.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what information we have on it. Hell, I'm curious if it's even real. He didn't look like the kind of person that would be scrounging in the depths. He looked put together and well put. I don't think I've seen another settlement that's, not a bunch of gangly individuals piecing together shacks.
Yeah, he's definitely Like, yeah, he was dirty, but it's definitely weird. And especially some place that has enough resources to send someone down that deep into the Moonwell. Like, it took us forever to plan how to get into the Moonwell. Like, that was a extensive engineering feat. And to get out, did they plan on getting out? They didn't have any of the stuff we had.
I don't know.
It's crazy. But I can check the Google machine. You'll have to go check the mainframe, but let me Google it real quick.
Yeah.
And she hits a couple buttons on the table she's at, and a little portion of it flips over, and she types things in, and she says, Hamlet opening. For that, it says the opening scene of Hamlet is significant because it introduces the ghost of King Hamlet, establishing it as real and central to the plot.
That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like what he was talking about. I thought he was talking about a city.
Yeah, this one's way worse than the mainframe. You should definitely check that.
Okay. I guess I'll check that out and then heads out to Charles then. And he gets up to start heading down. He turns to her and he leaves. He had like a tray of food and I assume he's eaten most of it, but he takes his salad out and lays it next to Kara and then points at it, makes motions with his eyes to the salad and walks off.
She scowls and starts just eating it with her fingers, but trying to get through it real quick so she can get back to the cheese. And you go back to the elevator. You hit the button on the elevator that says data analytics, and it starts moving. And eventually it opens up to a hot room with a bunch of screens and computer terminals. And there's just one other guy in there who seems to be typing away in the corner. But you know how to read, like in all of your past.
Yeah, I'm pretty
visions.
good with computers
You
too.
can read. And you're good with computers for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
So give me, assuming you're trying to go look up all this
Yeah,
stuff.
he's just popping in to do a quick research before he goes and confronts old Charles.
Give me a get to work.
Get to work. My goodness. You're not going to believe me, but it's another 12.
Oh my God. Why do you not dice? Just say 12 every
I
time.
know. This is all going to bite me in the ass when we go back to the present and I roll like 6 threes in a row and fail an important die roll and ruin everything.
You go sit at the computer terminal, you enter some authentication credentials, and a bunch of screens flash up like a good episode of Law and Order or CSI. And then you type a regular expression for Hamlet opening search and see where everything comes back in it. And there's no like nice, quick, easy description of Hamlet opening, but you're able to see that there are several locations where that phrase is connected to other information. You're smart and you rolled very good. So you understand it is talking about a location that the tower is knowledgeable about. It has some connection to some electricity loading algorithms that are built into what's going on here. But to dig deeper enough to get any more useful information, you would have to try to spoof the credentials a little bit. Your normal permission access, your normal access won't give you there, but you think you're probably smart enough to figure out a way to get into it if you wanted to.
Okay.
But it would be breaking the rules.
I think this last mission was so strange and kind of abnormal for Ocean that this will be the first time he really kind of, goes against the tower a little bit rules. And he's curious about this to try and figure out what's going on. And so I think Ocean at this point is a pretty big rules follower of the tower, but I think his curiosity is going to get the better of him and he is going to see if he can spoof it.
You rolled the get to work anyway with a 10 plus, so you're going to be able to. I just wanted to make there be a choice in there for you. So yeah, you're able to pretty simply, you have like a special other account that is for updating your own stuff, but that one does have the ability to change the permissions of some other areas. So you log into that one, change the permissions for all the things you searched for before, and let your normal account be able to access it. So then you swap back over to your normal account and you're able to dive in a little bit deeper. And you see that Hamlet Opening is a town that is on the outskirts of Subtropolis. It's actually in this overhang, not too far from the tower, actually. It's just a few miles. Oh God, I always forget what directions we say. A few miles north of the tower. I always have to view that map we drew once.
I can't even tell you what the map looks like at this point.
A few miles north, a little bit west of the tower. And it has a bunch of readings for estimated population, estimated required infrastructure, and a lot of things like that. And you see in the historical record, this one changes way more than all of the other ones. Up to a period of a few years ago, then it seems to be a little more static. But this looks super strange to you. Like the population numbers were all over the place looking back for like 10 years of data. It used to keep jumping up crazy and then get knocked back down. But through all of this, you do also get a location for it. I guess I kind of said that earlier. You find as you're poking around here, you see there are other similar records for other locations that seem important, but this one has way more activity than all of the other ones, like order of magnitude more. Adjustments to the algorithms governing it, adjustments to the data you're getting back from it. It seems like an important location.
For such an important location, it seems odd that it's kind of never brought up. It seems like it's another decently thriving little area. Don't understand why we haven't heard of it. So once he gets that information, he gets up and at that point assumes probably Charles is done being tormented by the examiners and decides to go pay a visit to wherever they would be keeping him.
Okay, you hit the holding cell button and the elevator opens some doors and you see there are a couple not silent guards, just kind of plain clothes guards that are sitting there. It seems like this is probably their main job, is to guard these cells. As you go in, you know they're not used very much. There are a couple other cells. You can't just look in and see who's in there. Mm-hmm. There's a sheet at the front that says like who's in what room. And then it's a fully blocked off room that just has a little like vent to put food in, whatever the food vent is called, food slot.
I think food slot. That sounds right.
But they just nod at you. They know you well enough that as you come in, they nod at you and you're able to see exactly what cell Charles McCready is in.
Okay. So quick question about the tower. With him being found like this, is he going to be kept a prisoner at the tower, or with the what's the general policy from what Ocean has dealt with in the past about how he would be treated?
I will say all you know, this is normally outside of your role here. You've come in to give medical treatment to other prisoners before, other people in this room. That's why they know you mostly. Maybe a few other times to ask like some follow-up questions similar to this case, but more planned. More hey, we want you to go extradite this person. You've never seen someone leave and go anywhere.
Okay, so
you've never seen someone like become a silent or work somewhere else in the tower, or certainly just be let out the front door. Okay. You've never seen that happen, but you've also never seen them feed them to a wood chipper or shoot them in here or anything like that. So they just kind of disappear.
Yeah, as far as Ocean's aware, the people here, they're in here and then they stay here until they're no longer here for some reason.
Yes, but you have no idea where they go.
Okay.
You think you probably would have seen them if they're leaving the tower, though. You're out around enough, like if they were doing big prisoner releases or anything, you would have seen it.
Gotcha.
Or you would have been responsible for like, hey, escort this person out of the perimeter.
Yeah. Okay.
Seems like it's mostly a one-way trip to the tower, but you don't know what happens after that.
Gotcha. So Ocean comes up to the door, scans his badge. I assume that's how they operate, or there's a key.
No, you got a badge.
Okay. Scans his badge, opens it up, and steps into Charles's room.
Charles, you can tell without a roll, he was probably doing something he wasn't supposed to. He like quickly sits down on the bed and like not moving and just kind of like smiling like a kid getting caught. And he goes, "Oh, it's you, Ocean. I'm glad you're back. I was worried I wouldn't be seeing you again."
I told you I'd come back. I'm a man of my word, or at least I try to be, as long as what's asked against me isn't endangering or jeopardizing anyone. And he sits down on the bench across from the bed.
So where are we? It sounds like you're probably here to ask me some questions, but really, like, what is this place?
This is the tower. We're kind of a community that's working on building up a place in Subtropolis that's like a bastion of civilization. I don't suspect Ocean is the true purpose of the tower. What it actually is kind of like, is that basically all people that work at the tower say, is that they're just like a...
Yeah, whatever you think. You can come up with it.
I think that's as far as Ocean...
It doesn't mean it's true, but yeah.
Obviously, the tower is something fucky in the end, but as far as Ocean's perspective at now and what he's been told, I suspect it's probably a attempt to build up a more... a stable civilization or stable society within Subtropolis.
Man, I didn't know anything like this existed. This is crazy. Like even my prison food, pretty delicious.
Well, I was going to ask you the same thing. I don't think I did a little look into it, and I've never once heard of Hamlet opening, but it seems like you guys have a pretty thriving little place over there.
Oh, it's okay. It's nothing fancy. Just a couple assholes running a little rundown podunk town.
Well, Podunk Town's better than many of the places I've been. Have you been to the Stew? That place is a shithole.
Oh, you've been to the Stew. I actually have been there. Interesting. But yes, it is. Absolutely. Yeah, what? How did you get that information on Hamlet Opening? Did people around here know about us? I felt like if something like this existed, someone would have come, done trade, let us know about it.
Well,
He's trying not to say that you guys are close by, but he's also confused about the situation.
well, to be honest with you, I'd never heard of Hamlet Opening either. It's not something that apparently that's a public record here, but I looked into a little bit of information gathering that they kind of keep away, and we've got a good bit of info on Hamlet Opening, but I've never seen or heard of any of you guys or done any kind of communication with you. I don't know why we wouldn't have.
I'm just curious, but like, what type of information do you have on us? On them? I'm not there anymore, obviously.
Is any of the information that he told us stuff that I would feel would be confidential? It's mostly like population data, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem... It's up to you, definitely, what you think, but I would say there's nothing abnormal about, like...
It's not like these are the secret plans to destroy Hamlet Opening, nothing like that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's nothing like that.
It's just like population data, demographics, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like the average cop wouldn't be telling someone they have captured this, but you're also not a normal cop, so whatever you want.
Well, I mean, don't have a ton of information, just mostly your population estimates and ideas on how many people how many people live there, but otherwise just standard censusing.
Oh, well, how much what did they think the number that was there? What you got? I want to see how good your data is.
Charles, I'm trying to help you, but I can't give you away secrets like this. Not yet, at least. We still haven't determined whether you're a threat or not to us.
My wife was like super big on data science. I just think it's interesting too. So I was just trying to ask some questions. Not a big deal though. If you don't want to tell me, it's fine.
Maybe if I get to know you a little better, I'll be willing to share more. But as far as I'm aware, I don't understand how you got to the bottom of the moon well. Don't know how you got there. I don't know what you're doing there. The only people we've ever ran into down there are mercenaries or scavengers. You don't look like either of those.
Yeah, we had very specific goals to get those power cores. We needed them for our own purposes. This actually isn't just saying no. Like I mentioned, I'm not at Hamlet Opening anymore. Not really my town. Actually intentionally left. But this wasn't for them. They have no responsibility with this. You shouldn't kind of take your anger out on the town. This was just me and my family needed these things, so we went and got them.
What does your family need with power cores that can power an entire city? It seems like a little extra energy.
You'd think so, but the things we needed were quite energy intensive. It's a way to get all the way to the surface.
But why?
He thinks for a minute if he wants to tell you information, and then he clearly decides he's going to play up a sob story. And he's going to go, my daughter has a condition where she needs the sun. I don't know if you know what this is, but the sun is this giant ball of fire in the sky. It's actually not in the sky. It's many, many, many miles away.
We've got recordings of what the surface might look like.
Yeah. Yes, you've seen all this stuff before. Most people haven't.
Yeah.
And he goes, and she needs that. There's important qualities to it that somehow everyone down here has been able to either evolve out of, or maybe it's some of the food in our scavenged, disgusting diet where we're mostly okay. Out of character. You guys are not okay. You're all sickly.
We just don't know.
We just don't know. But she really needs the sun to get better. So we have to get to the surface.
I've never heard of anybody needing something like that.
Yeah, I think most people wouldn't know it, but my wife and me, we're pretty smart cookies.
How did you hear about the Moonwell?
This may be a little bit tied to kind of what you said. Don't want to share all the information when we're not even good friends yet, but we basically found some records of those power cores and where they were used and tracked it down. It was basically a missing key for the thing we needed to get to the surface. And in that same location, we were able to track down where they're manufactured and utilized. So we set course for there.
But why'd you leave your son?
He wasn't ready. He wasn't old enough. And honestly, we didn't think it would take quite as long as it did. And we've always felt like we're 1 month from being done. Every day almost. We just thought one thing we got to know, and we can go back and get the little book. But honestly, he's safer in Hamlet opening, and we're going to go back for him when we go to the surface. Or I guess now that I'm not going to the surface, I need you to tell him to go to his mom. I must reiterate, she's only going to wait there for like another 20 days. Gotta be quick.
So tragic. But why is she only going to wait there that long? Why can't she just wait longer? Why can't she go back and get him? Why?
Well, are you really trying to make me feel bad here? Because it is entirely my fault. I thought I was going to be able to get away from you, and I told her to swear to me to only wait a month, because I thought that's how long it'd take for you guys to track her down, and then I would meet her there, and if not, I would meet her on the surface.
How did you think you could get away from us? He kind of motions towards the armed guards nearby.
It was just two of you back then. And I didn't have a lot of time to think. I knew if you have both of the power cores, it was, honestly, I'm useless anyway. I can't use it if you have two of them. But there are still two more down there. I think we could take those, but it may have catastrophic damages to the underlying reactor, but it may be worth it.
Out of character. Uh-oh.
That's just a maybe. We didn't do all the math.
But what could you possibly power with those that's going to take you all the way to the surface? That's the part I'm kind of struggling here. I can understand you wanting to help your family, and I'll believe your story at this point of you just hearing about the reactors because you guys have done a lot of research. I mean, Hamlet opening seems like a pretty decently sized place. Maybe they have some information that we don't, but what possibly could take you all the way there?
Okay, he is certainly going to try to either lie or mislead you with his words that are about to come up. So I'm going to give you a read a person roll.
Okay.
So you can use those holds while he's talking.
Let's see. Read a person. That's sharp. It's my one skill I'm bad at. I rolled a 5.
I'm going to still let you ask one of these questions, which I'm allowed to do. And you can do it whenever it comes up. This is just a hold 1-for-1. So read those real quick. And if you think of any of them while I'm talking, it will be, there's bad stuff because you rolled a 5 anyway, just to remind you.
That's fine. I always roll poorly when it seems like it matters.
Well, there were a few ideas. We knew we had to get to the surface. I don't know if you know this, but there's actually basically an elevator all the way to the surface, a place called the transfer, where it goes directly to the surface. And that was our first idea, that we heard about this. We knew it was supposedly maintained for well after people came underground, but it's near the baffles. And when we went there, we realized that it was irreparable from this side. It seems like it has to be repaired from the surface side based on any of the readouts we got. I think it's honestly mostly functional, but there's something that has to be done topside to get it to work. I don't know what it is. So that was not a feasible solution. But we did find evidence of some vehicles that will help us get to the surface if we can find a path. And it can be any path, anything that gets us from here to the surface, as many winding turns and boops and bops as you have, we'll be able to follow it, but it requires a tremendous amount of power.
I think I'll go ahead and say that I'll use my hold for the are you telling the truth in regards to, I guess in general, because I don't think Ocean would have heard of any of this.
Okay, what I'll tell you with that, using your only hold, I'll say that yes, everything he said has been the truth, but he intentionally tried to mislead you about the vehicles being somewhere different near the transfer, near the baffles.
Okay. Yeah. Intentionally kind of changing.
So yeah, he was like, hey, this thing's near the baffles that doesn't work. And then tried to talk about the other stuff, but you think they're more connected.
Okay, so he was trying to kind of like quickly change the subject after bringing up this thing.
Yes. Like, don't go to the baffles.
Yeah.
Waste the time to go there.
But how did you learn about this? This is stuff, we're a pretty advanced civilization here, or we're a pretty advanced society here. Not once have I heard of any of this information. It's hard for me to believe everything you're telling me with the scale of the society that I have seen that you're from.
Oh, yeah. Everyone there doesn't know anything about any of this.
So how did you find out about it?
That is a long and arduous tale. I admit I love books, I love CDs, I love magazines, I love pretty much any media. But the best truth you can get is from someone who lived it. So I tracked down someone who had been alive before the apocalypse.
But that just doesn't make any sense. You're saying you talked to somebody that lived prior to us moving down into the depths?
No, not that long. Everyone gets this impression that there's only one apocalypse. There are so many apocalypses. Just the one down here, which happened less than 200 years ago.
There was an apocalypse down here?
Yeah, this city used to be thriving. Well, this is confusing because now we're in a tower that's quite thriving, but the whole city was like this tower. Everywhere as far as you look, just like this. But then something caused it to not be like that.
Do you know what caused it?
No, I don't know. I spent a lot of my youth trying to figure it out, but I decided it was better to just get away from it. Go to the surface.
But how do you know the surface is okay? You seem to be mentioning the surface is the place to go, but I've never seen any evidence that it's worth it.
I've seen it.
What do you mean
I
you've
can't
seen
explain it, but I've seen it.
How could you have seen it?
I've used the marvels of science and technology to see it for myself. Can I elaborate further?
He motions to the tower around. You're in the marvels of science and technology, and we haven't seen it.
Sometimes when an organization gets big like this, you miss the little things.
Well, like I said, I'm sympathetic to you, and I'm curious about what all you've been doing and how you found out all about this information. But again, until I can figure out and make sure that what you're telling me isn't a threat to the tower, I can't make any major promises.
How about you just go by yourself? Don't tell all your friends out there who are a little more scary than you. Why don't you go check out Hamlet Opening? And while you're there, just happen to swing by and tell my son to go to the Baffles. There's a wonderful bar. Do you drink?
No, not really.
Well, they have all sorts of options. But there's a Broken Leg. It's called the Broken Leg. And the sole proprietor there, you don't even have to go find my son. You can go tell him hey, can you get booked to the Baffles? Charles said it was very important, and that's all you got to do, and you'll see there. Like, there's nothing. There's barely any people. We got 100 people. It's no threat, which that 100 number is way smaller than
he knows at that point that's
the data you saw.
But Ocean won't comment on that. He knows. Ocean will kind of nod a little bit and like, well, you talk about all this like you're never going to be able to go back. Maybe, if you cooperate with us, then maybe we can both go back to Hamlet Opening and you can tell your son yourself.
I would love that. Any way I could expedite my release, but I must reiterate, not a lot of time, little more than a couple weeks.
Well,
maybe if I've told you everything I know, maybe go let your superiors know that and go ahead and send me on my way.
Look, like I said, if I can determine what you told me is true, and if I can for sure validate that you're not a threat, I'll do everything I can to talk to my superiors to let you go. But I can't cross them. I can't cross it.
I appreciate it.
This is my home. I've got to protect it.
I understand. Anything I can do to help.
Just cooperate with us is all I ask.
A-okay.
And Ocean gets up to kind of walk out, and he turns back and says, and don't lie about stuff. I know that Baffles stuff was a little fishy. And he walks out.
He looks very nervous as you turn away from him dramatically and head towards the door. And as you open it and slam it shut behind you, your brain once again jumps forward in time. And there's an alarm going on around you, and you can tell you're getting ready for an important mission. And even though you're experiencing this memory in first person, you get this just wave over yourself. And you remember that this was a pivotal mission and a mission filled with death.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Oops, All Apocalypses.
In the episode description, you can find a link tree that contains links to all our social media and merch.
If you want to hear us play different characters in a shorter campaign, check out our short series, Spoops, All Apocalypses.
Music and editing was done by me, Stu Masterson.
Brady McDonough is the one who made our cool logo.
And Jacob individually fluffs all our microphone pop filters.
Love you. Bye. But you have to impersonate Stu when you do it. So you gotta get a little staccato in your voice. A little bop-a-da-bop-a-da-bop.